Scrabble Together, the dumbing down of the great word game. Well, welcome to Mark and Pete. Here's a thought.
In so many words. When the erudite dabble at playing Scrabble, their words score with very high rank, but as the clueless gabble with incoherent babble, they always draw a blank. Yes, it does seem, though, that Maytel has caused some controversy. Why is that? Well, they're bringing out a new version of Scrabble, which is designed to be a collaborative and more accessible game for those who find word games intimidating. It's called Scrabble Together, and this would allow people to compete in teams as opposed to being in as an individual. But the fact of the matter is that some may say this is just a dumbing down of the standard game, Scrabble, in which, people can actually create words. It's actually like a form of sort of a crossword. Now, it's not just about making up words, but there is strategy involved, of course. The word games are where you place your words on the board to get a triple word score, a double word score. There's even a world championship at Scrabble. Pleasure and Pete, I ask you, do you think this new version, Scrabble Together, is a dumbing down, or is it a good idea for our new generation who want to be much more inclusive?
Well, it's interesting, this idea of scrabbling together, have images of people sort of diving into something together and scrabbling about. I guess it could be a bit like that, but I don't see it as a dumbing down or trying to be inclusive. I mean, these I know these are popular concepts, but it's more of a question of being collaborative, isn't it? And being against being meritocratic. It's not necessarily the best person who wins. It's the group that works together to solve a challenge that wins. I believe that's the idea of the new game, or the new form of the game. So I would say, yes, it's a dumbing down in that it's not necessarily the best player who wins, because it's a group game. So in that sense, it's dumbing down. But I don't think it's being more inclusive. It's just being less competitive, and that can be a good thing. Certainly when people are learning to play in primary school or below that, there tends to be this idea that you try and make games less competitive, so people don't feel that they're a complete failure and don't get upset by it. Now, I don't necessarily. I think the idea of working together is a good thing, but as soon as you remove the possibility of failure, you remove the possibility of success.
Yes.
They're two opposites, or two opposite poles. You can't really have one without the other.
Well, I agree. Now, here's the interesting perspective. Now, Giles Brandreth, yes. Same to you.
Yeah, big fan.
Noted as a broadcaster for his wordplay and being quite erudite, of a writer, a former politician, but clearly an orator, somebody who likes words. Now, he was recently interviewed and said, in an interview, which is, we play the original game, but change is inevitable, he says. And the idea being is that the makers of Scrabble found that younger people, Gen Z people, don't quite like the competition nature of Scrabble. They want a game where you can simply enjoy language, words, being together and having fun creating words. But I come back to my take on this, which is that Scrabble has been a long-standing game. And what's interesting is that many people, I think, at some point in their life has probably played it, certainly as children with their families, but also the competitive nature of it. The idea being is it's not just about learning words. It's the idea that you can actually compete because you're building up points and you're playing. It's a little bit like words or chess with words. Now, the original game was invented by Alfred Mosher Butts. Yes, the American inventor in 1938. Now, Scrabble is produced in the United States and Canada by Hasbro under a number of sub-brands, but it's actually Maytel that owns the rights to manufacture Scrabble outside the United States and Canada.
Yes.
Now, what's interesting is that this game isn't just produced in English. It's produced in over 30 languages and approximately 150 million have been sold throughout the world. You've probably
Well,
trodden on a number of those little tiles that are stuck in between your
yes,
toes,
you
and you've
don't
still
want
probably
your
got them
bare
there,
feet.
clergyman Pete.
You don't want your bare feet to meet those in the carpet.
No,
It's that
but
everyone who has kids will relate.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But the point being is, I this is just from a personal perspective, folks, but I thought it was a great way of learning words, competing, and being able to sort of improve your standards. The very idea of relying on somebody else to be able to conjure a word doesn't really sit well with me, because a team game can cause good things, but at the same time, you want that competitive nature. And I totally agree with you that one of the things that you want to install in people is a fair play, but you also want that competitive edge. Surely, if as you're learning as a child, learning words, learning number, learning strategy, Scrabble's a great way to do it. Why water down the game?
Yes.
Being more inclusive, dare I say that some may say it's the woke game of the 21st century, surely
Yeah.
does not, in my opinion, really help to sort of build a community of competitiveness.
No,
What say
no,
you?
I agree. No, well, let me just give the a sort of biblical perspective. Overall attitude of the Bible really is twofold. One is you can look at how there's an emphasis on working together, and I get and from there you can get playing together as well. And in the early church, as described in the book of Acts in the Bible, we see them described as living together and selling any property they have to put money in a common pot, and they all used it together
Yeah.
voluntarily. But they did put it all in together, decided to work together as a team. However, one of the metaphors used to describe living out the Christian life is fighting a boxing match and running a race in a manner in which you're trying to win, and that's specifically described. The Apostle Paul says when he's talking about the end of his life, he's saying he's looking back and can say, "I have fought the good fight, I have run the race," and so he certainly looks at that as an image of the Christian life being competitive, trying to win. Is something that's assumed in that metaphor. Not that the Christian life is competitive, but the competitiveness of games is assumed as a good thing. So within the biblical worldview, you have both those things. So here's my suggestion. Within the game playing fraternity, you have different sorts of games. You have team games and you have individual games. Why not have a meritocratic idea of the actual game? Have them both out there for sale, which I think is the plan,
Oh,
and
yeah.
see which one sells the most. You know,
Well, I think that
see,
from a commercial perspective, and I
yeah,
agree with you, that this is another route. I mean, many manufacturers are looking for different angles, and they've certainly capitalized on, shall we say, a trend. I don't think necessarily in my ideal world, the utopian world of maintaining standard probably plays, because I do agree, if I put my business hat on, I'm thinking, what else can I sell? And I think that you're probably right. I think that there will be some take up of Scrabble Together. But here's the thing, you see, because where else could it go? I mean, my point is this, that if you're trying to bring some sense of community to a game, that's fine. I could see that works. But I think that ultimately there are some purists who would say this is just watering it down. I mean, one of the other the factors is that typically most standard Scrabble games have to be pivoted around an agreed dictionary. Point
yes,
being is you don't make up your own words, and if it doesn't appear in the dictionary, then therefore it doesn't qualify. Now, when you
yes,
bring in, say, a team game, there's always dispute over what constitutes a word or not.
yes, yeah, that's a good
So
point. You can
I
have a
could say
team of different dictionaries,
you
see
could
which
have a
one you
team of different
prefer.
dictionaries. But here's a better one. Why not have this? Why not have? I'm just going to give a commercial suggestion here, folks.
Yes, yes,
Now, as we know, words are great. Words, we love words. We love
yes.
actually
I,
creating
I
words.
use
But
them
why?
myself.
Why? Occasionally you do, but sometimes
Yeah,
people even understand you.
yeah,
However, what I would say is, here's an idea. Why not bring them all together And that is that you have an English one and, say, a French one and a German one, all in one game, meaning
Yes.
that as long as you play down a word, say in German, and it's a complete word, it fits against a French word and so on. Now, that would mean that not only are you actually learning words from other languages, you're still adhering to the standards of the original game. Now, to me, that would be a very good game.
You could give it a biblical name. When God spread all the peoples across the world and gave them all the different languages, it was the Tower of Babel or Babel.
Yes.
And you could call it Scrabble Babel.
Quite right. There you
Scrabble.
go. And Maytel, if you're listening, we'll take 10%.
Yes. Well, I guess that's the end of our show for this week. Thank you all for listening. Let us know what you think. Weigh in on this debate of the two different forms of Scrabble. Let us know, and any ideas you have to improve it. Go to markandpete.com, check you're subscribed, and then you can leave a comment on this and every episode. But from Mark and myself, it's bye for now. Catch you next time.